stripped down. In-studio performances and conversation with groundbreaking and emerging artists. Sirius XMU Sessions.
You're listening to Sirius XMU Sessions. I'm Jenny Ellis-Q. So excited this week to be joined by Hamilton, Leithauser, and Rostam. Welcome, dudes.
Hi.
Hi.
You know, we world premiered 1,000 times here on XMU, and Rostam, you and I spoke a little bit then about how this album came together, but want to dig deeper into that this week on Sessions. And we're going to be listening to some live performances of songs from the LP. Luckily for me, I got to see a show you guys did here in New York.
Were you a Rough Trade?
Oh my God, it was so good.
Oh, good. Thanks very much.
It was beautiful.
Thanks. We were excited. We were a little antsy because that was the first one. And when you do all new songs and a whole new set, you don't know if you don't know how much you should amp it up or tone it down or what. So we sort of just recreated the songs as much as we could. And you don't know if that's what,
it felt like a faithful...
It was pretty, yeah.
Performance of the songs. But
it's just very different. It's just very, very different for me.
I liked the sort of subtlety to how it came over live. Yeah, it felt like I say, just really beautiful.
Thanks.
And when you went into, did you have a similar feeling at some point when you were writing these songs and recording them of figuring out where it fits into the kind of music that you're used to making?
We didn't really have a problem with worrying if it had sounding like our old bands. I guess there was maybe an unspoken understanding that we didn't want to sound like either of them, but it was never a problem, and we never did from right when we started.
I don't know how to have those conversations even with myself. I just got to make music, and
yeah, we never talked about it.
I think Hamilton's the same way. You just kind of always cracking at something.
And when did this collaboration start to feel like the beginning of a project that needed to have more space to expand?
About 6 months after we started writing songs, we had so many more than we'd anticipated. We didn't have a plan. We never talked about making a record, and suddenly we had 8 songs, and it seemed like it was time to have that talk about commitment.
Yes.
What does it all mean?
Mm-hmm. How far are we taking this thing?
And what was the first song that came together?
Well, it's so weird because both of us brought ideas that we were holding on to sometimes for years, other times, months, but we both had these individual starts of songs that we found would lift off the ground when we worked on them together. So those ones, some of those stretch back to 2002, 2008 for me.
Because these are things that you just couldn't find a home for.
Yeah, a few things that were
didn't make
nagging
sense,
at you. Or just didn't work. That song In a Blackout, a few things just did not make sense with the Walkman. It made no sense.
You're listening to Sirius XMU Sessions with Hamilton, Leithauser, and Rostam. I'm Jenny Ellis-Q. These guys are joining us playing music from a really brilliant collaborative album they released recently called I Had a Dream That You Were Mine, which references the song we've been playing the most of so far, 1,000 times. Tell me about kind of how that song first came together.
The first thing for 1,000 times was a beat that Rostam made while I was sitting on the couch right behind him in his studio in LA. And I really liked the sound of it. It sounded different than it does now because it had this very prominent synthesizer line, and it sounded sort of like this warbly 80s kind of thing that reminded me of the soundtrack to that movie Basquiat, that Julian Schnabel movie. And I thought, man, I really like that beat, but I don't know, I was drained. It was the end of a week that we'd been working. So he gave me a copy of it and I took it home. And then he was in my apartment in New York, and it was 6 months later, and he started playing on the piano, and he was like, remember the song? I was like, yeah, I've been listening to it all the time. And we just sort of started singing it, and I had the melody and went together, and that song wrote itself really quickly after that.
So we love it so much. So good.
By the Christmas tree. It was right next to the Christmas tree.
When I spoke to Rostam, the day that song came out, one of the things he talked about was this idea of pushing you, Hamilton, to kind of the extremes of your voice in a way that, as a fan of your music, he felt he hadn't heard before.
Today, you're going to hear one of the extremes of my voice. Extremely tired, extremely weary. I was giving it all I had, but I'm running a little low on gas in there.
I wouldn't worry about it. Was that something that was articulated between the two of you at an early point in the process, or was that sort of his secret mission that you only later found out about?
A little of both.
I don't know. Yeah, I definitely think in recording sessions, if there was a fly on the wall, the fly could definitely report back that I'd have Hamilton sing things in different ways. We tried different levels of energy, because like Hamilton can get high without being loud. He can sing that really kind of sweet choir voice stuff, or he can sing the exact same note really loud.
Right. I mean, it's pretty fucking impressive. Let's get into our first live performance on this week's episode of Sessions. Hamilton, Leithauser, and Rostam are here playing us music from their album, I Had a Dream That You Were Mine. And this is a live rendition of 1,000 Times on Sirius XMU Sessions.
All right, let's do, you want to just do it an octave lower?
Maybe an octave lower.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
I had a dream that you were mine. I've had that dream 1,000 times, 1,000 times, 1,000 times. I've had that dream 1,000 times. I left my room on the west side. I walked from noon through the night. I changed my crowd, I ditched my time. I watched the sparks fly off the fire. I found your old house, I didn't even try. They closed the shutters, they pulled the blinds. My eyes were red, the streets were bright. Those ancient years were black and white. The 10th of November, the year's almost over. If I had your number, I'd call you tomorrow. If my eyes were open, I'd be kicking the doors in. But all that I had is this old dream I always had. 1,000 times, 1,000 times I've had that dream. 1,000 times, 1,000 times, 1,000 times I've had that dream. 1,000 times I left my room on the west side. I walked from noon through the night. I changed my crowd, I ditched my tie. I watched the sparks fly off the fire. I found your old house, I didn't even try. They closed the shutters, they pulled the blinds. I had a dream that you were mine. I've had that dream 1,000 times. I don't answer questions, I just keep on guessing. My eyes are still open, the curtains are closing, and all that I have is this old dream I always had. 1,000 times, 1,000 times I've had that dream. 1,000 times, 1,000 times, 1,000 times I've had that dream. 1,000 times, 1,000 times, 1,000 times I've had that dream. 1,000 times.
sounds good.
Nice. Hamilton, Leithauser, and Rostam joining us this week on Sirius XMU Sessions, playing stripped-down renditions of tunes from their beautiful album, I Had a Dream That You Were Mine. I'm Jenny Eliscu. Rostam and Hamilton also joining me here for some chat. I'm curious, Rostam, if, beginning to work on these songs together was like part of what made you want to be more open for yourself in terms of your relationship with Vampire Weekend, and had you and Hamilton already started working on some of this stuff before you decided to revise your involvement with VW?
Actually, the decision for me to no longer be a member of Vampire Weekend happened in 2014. So before me and Hamilton even started working on songs for this record. And it was kind of a decision that was, I don't know, it just felt so natural at some point, because, I don't know, I feel like it's hard for maybe people to understand it. It doesn't mean proclamations for the future.
Right. It doesn't mean Daddy doesn't love you anymore. I'll just live down the block. It'll be cool. we've got every other weekend. When did you guys first meet each other? What do you remember about your earliest encounters with one another?
I remember we were on tour in Alabama, and I remember Hamilton liked to play, he was playing football. We were passing a football around, which is not something I'd ever done on tour. None of the members of Vampire Weekend like to do that.
And were you guys playing a show together or something?
They were opening for us, yeah. Yeah, they were just a little upstart, little squirts.
And what did you think of Rostam? What were your first impressions of him?
I guess that really was the first time we met. I remember in that parking lot, right outside of that club. I was impressed by their band. Oh, don't you think impressed is a condescending word?
I think impressed can be condescending. Yeah.
I don't mean it in that.
He knows me well.
I was impressed. I didn't get to know him all that well. I liked him. I had met Ezra several times over the years, for other funny reasons. He used to work for my recording studio that we had uptown, which is kind of funny. And so, I don't know, I beat Chris Baio in chess, I remember that night, which is pretty satisfying. I don't really remember it all that well. Years later, I remember meeting and having a late drunk night with me and Rostam in Beach House, and and guys from his band were there. Yes. And I remember having really fun conversations about music, and we had a few quick band, sort of, I like this record, or I don't know what we were talking about. A few things came up and I thought, wow, those guys really, that we do have a lot of similar, I don't know, backgrounds and music that we like to listen to or talk about in drunk nights. And that always stuck with me a little bit because there's sort of a familiarity there, actually.
And when you first tried working on music together,
it fell right in.
Would that have been for your solo album that you guys first tried a collaboration, or had you ever gotten together and jammed, as it were, before that?
No. We sat down with the music for 1959, and I started singing, and part of that is still on the record, actually. And that was the very first thing that we did on the very first day that we sort of really got to know each other.
Nice. I got to ask, since you mentioned that song, that woman, Maggie Rogers, where did she come from? I mean,
my manager is managing her now, actually.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was a management thing, and I think Hamilton was he's like, yo, management is saying there's this girl, Maggie Rogers, she's awesome. Have you seen the video with Pharrell? And Hamilton hadn't seen the video yet. But.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Maggie Rogers. I don't know why, out of context. But yeah, we were playing her song Alaska over on the Spectrum for a bit. For the rest of you who are tuned in at home, worth looking up Maggie Rogers and the video for her song Alaska, which is fucking great. Jenny Eliscu, joined by Hamilton and Rostam on this week's episode of Sessions, and we're about to get it back into the musical portion of the show. These guys are going to play us the song When the Truth Is.
I was drowning.
I could sing it in an octave.
You want to just do it in C? Could that help? When the truth is.
When the truth is, take one.
I was drowning out the night with the last of the wine, and my story shards of a glass from the bar, and I left from 17th Street, St. Mark's. Baby, listen to me now. I was trying all the time. Maybe half the time I got you right. Night to night. Oh, I'll always be lonely, and you never hear the truth. 'Cause the truth is, there's some distance, but you're distant. I keep talking my way back to your heart. Mama told you I had long hair, baby, but your mama lied. Maybe half the time I must have got you right. Night to night. Oh, I'll always be lonely, and you never hear the truth. Yeah, I'll always be lonely, and you never hear the truth. In the graveyards, in the harbors, in the beer halls, in the parks, I'll be wandering under unfamiliar stars. But the spirits in my heart don't persuade me anymore, and my echoes off of brick and mortar walls. 'Cause the truth is, there's some distance, but you listen. And the truth is, there's some distance, but you listen.
Magic?
You're listening to Sirius XMU Sessions, and we're so thrilled to have Hamilton, Leithauser, and Rostam joining us this week, playing us music from their collaborative album, I Had a Dream That You Were Mine. I'm Jenny Elliskew. Hamilton, what do you think it is about Rostam as a collaborator? I mean, do you think there's a different side of your artistic voice that Rostam brings out?
Definitely. The whole process is so different. I mean, we were writing and recording at the exact same time, and you know, I'd have an idea for a line or a lyric or a melody to something he'd be sitting there working on, and I'd stand up and just sing it. And you know, I'd say, "Wait, no, I could do that this way, or I could do that this way." And if it was one of the times where something was really working, Ross would be like, "That one," and we would just record it, and he'd have the moment right there. He'd have it recorded, and maybe even the music wasn't done, so he could sort of like rearrange even change the chords sometimes. But we had my vocal moment there, and I've always been in a band where you write your song and you're trying to get your song down on tape that you're playing with your live band. So constructing it around these recorded things like made it a completely different thing for me.
Yeah. I love that moment, and I know it's not one of the songs you're playing in this session, but in Sick as a Dog, the culmination of that song that I use the same voice I always have. Which, when you describe that kind of thing of singing high without getting loud, it's like that. I'm kind of hoping that that's a song that we'll dig our teeth into here on XMU in the months to come.
That's my favorite one from the record.
I use the same. My friend and I last night were just singing that to each other back and forth, annoying everyone else we encountered. We're like, we can't stop.
That's awesome.
And I also am curious if that lyric, I know lyric writing is an ephemeral thing, but you know, are you literally describing yourself as a singer? I mean, there's something so beautiful about
To be
your
honest,
voice and its identifiability.
I had been trying to write a song with that Leonard Cohen triplet guitar thing that we did on In a Blackout for so many years, and just right before Rostam and I had started working together, I wrote one with that triplet thing that was very, very quiet and it had minor chord progression, and it went, I use the same voice I always had, and it was this very quiet thing that I had sort of lying around, and then Rostam and I started working together, and we had this big bashy ending, and I was like, hold on, that's this one.
It's nice. It's very nice. So
And I
is
stepped it up a little.
there going to be more live, or will there be more live performances for this endeavor?
There's definitely going to be a couple more this year that I'm going to be a part of, and then next year Hamilton's going to launch this thing into outer space.
Do you have other balls in the air creatively, Rostam, that you want to, or that you can allude to, or?
I mean, yeah, I'm always working on a bunch of different stuff. Like, you know, just like me and Hamilton have been talking about digging up some songs we never finished from this session. But
yeah,
there's going to be I think there's a couple more exciting things that'll come out before the end of the year, and a ton of stuff next year. But
sweet. And any like more videos for tracks from this collection?
I believe so, actually, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, we got one in the works.
we got to make a good one for In a Blackout.
Yeah.
Well, I hear that song, that people are loving that song and buying it like crazy on.
It's going pretty well, actually, yeah. Nice. I love that song. I'm very proud.
It helps to have it in an Apple commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't hurt.
Does not hurt at all.
But it means we got to make a really good video, because someone already made a pretty good 30-second video for the song. So we got to beat that.
Right, yeah.
Like, don't even
they
try.
Made a 60-second version.
Just go opposite and just do it like a video of like turtles humping.
That's a good point.
I like turtles.
Turtles humping. It's weird. And so also for this session, you're covering yourself, sort of. You're half covering.
But
yourself.
he's singing it, so I feel like that makes it a real cover, a proper cover.
Are there certain Walkman songs that feel like they fit more with this project, or they feel more related to this project?
No, I won't be like playing any of those, even though we've had a lot of discussions about that.
And people will request them, and then you'll have to be like, no, sorry.
I like to play that with my friends in the Walkman, so I like to save it for that.
And of course, except for right now, those guys getting ready to play us the Walkman tune, If Only It Were True. Thanks so much to Hamilton, Leithauser, and Rostam for joining us this week on Sirius XMU Sessions. Their brilliant album, I Had a Dream That You Were Mine, is out now, and they've just announced some new tour dates for 2017, so have a look at their website to find out about that. And let's get into it. If Only It Were True by Hamilton, Leithauser, and Rostam on Sirius XMU Sessions.
You ready?
Yeah.
If only it were true, I'd go with you.
been Sirius XMU Sessions. Stripped down performance and conversation with groundbreaking Sirius XMU artists. Brand new Sirius XMU Sessions debut Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. And now you can listen to Sirius XMU Sessions when it's convenient for you. Go to SiriusXM.com/on-demand for details.